Hey, what's up guys? Chad here with the Reptile Rangers. Now we're at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center again today, and we're going to show something that is not acceptable to do in the reptile world. However, a lot of people tend to do it, and they're recommended to do stuff like this by a lot of pet stores. Not all. Some pet stores actually have some common sense and at least enough knowledge and care in reptiles to know better than to tell people to do this kind of stuff. However, we'll get into that in just a second. Right there in that corner is our subscriber button. Make sure to hit that, and for those that have, we appreciate you following along week after week after week. Now, let's get right into this. Okay, so this absolutely is not acceptable, okay? Interestingly enough, we have this kind of stuff turned over to us a lot. I mean, almost on a weekly basis. This, and sometimes multiple times a week, is turned over like this. 2 turtles of a decent size that's been kept in small aquariums. I mean, you can see the water line right there is where the water line is in this. Even that full, that's not acceptable, folks. All right, this right here is just a really, really unacceptable way to keep aquatic turtles. First off, these animals need a lot of space. And most people don't realize when they're getting into aquatic turtles how much space even small ones really need. Your smallest ones like musk turtles, mud turtles, things like that should at least have, if not significantly bigger, at least a 50-gallon tank. 55 long, a 50-gallon tall, doing 75. 75 would be great. But I mean, I have seen them, you know, if they're able to fill them all the way up and you have like a turtle tank topper for like a big 40 breeder style tank, 36 by 18 by about 16 inches tall, something like that. Okay, young musks can live into that. Some of your young mud turtles, things like that. Baby aquatic turtles can do that. But once they start getting a significant size like this right here, this is just ridiculous. I mean, it's like somebody being stuck inside of a gas station bathroom all of their life. It's ridiculous. There's no space for them to do anything, and there's no room for them to move. They're going to grow. People's like, oh, can you stunt their growth? No, you can't stunt their growth. They're going to grow their whole life. You might be able to slow it down, but they're still going to grow, and it's going to be unhealthy for them because they can't exercise, they can't move around like they should. And for 2 of them, they can't exactly have much private, there's no private space. For 2 of them, they can't have exactly any personal space. They're literally on top of one another all the time, even if they're in the 2 corners. They're still within very, very close range of one another. So this is just kind of a ridiculous way of keeping it. This or bigger is what is acceptable. Notice the several species of painted turtles. There's a musk, and then of course a baby alligator. Now that you've seen that, and you've seen just one of many options. I mean, we have many different things we use. We can use 300-gallon stock tanks that have the open close valves at the bottom for quick releasing water, things like that. We use those for quarantine holding pens. And you can use anything like we have. You've seen several videos that we have here, the alligator snapping turtles. They're in 250, 280-gallon tanks. That soft shell turtle's in 125. 125 to 150. That one right there that you've seen with the baby alligator and the turtles, I think that's 125 gallon. So I mean, these things are huge. These are big tanks, and give these animals plenty of room to move. Now with what you've seen in the picture there, that was a big turtle tank topper. That's the equivalent of the tank itself. They can climb right out of the water into that box and have just as much land space as if they were walking around in the bottom of that aquarium. But like I said, this right here, before you do your research, and I mean, I don't know how many people come, they're like, oh man, I didn't realize it was going to get this big. Thousands of turtles we have turned over a year. And I mean, people will come up for years and they'll be like, man, I got this thing at Myrtle Beach. I just didn't realize it was going to get that big. And I'll pull out my cell phone. I'm like, you got one of those? Yeah. You got internet on it? Yeah. Well, you got no excuses for not knowing how big it was going to get. I mean, it's just that simple. And understand that, no, you don't have to have an Olympic-sized swimming pool for these, for these turtles, but they do need a significant room to be able to swim and exercise and move around and have space to be able to act like turtles and be turtles, to forage for food, to enjoy crawling around on the bottom and enjoy swimming, but also have plenty of room to be able to get up out on land and bask in the sunlight and the UV light. But anyways, this is just a video on kind of something that we see way too often. I don't put that much negative stuff up on here. As far as showing a lot of the rehab stuff we do, a lot of the medical stuff that we do, showing a lot of this, the ugly side of the hobby of very poorly kept pets. with that being said, this one I figured would be just a good time to show because I've got another grouping sitting in here, smaller yellow belly sliders, and they're in a 5-gallon tank, I think is what they were turned over. It wasn't too terribly long ago. We had some turtles that was left right at the front door before we even got here. And we have these things being turned over all the time, and most of the time when they're turned over, if they're turned over with the equipment, it's red-eared sliders, yellow belly sliders, things that get massive. These turtles get massive, and they're being turned over with things like 10-gallon tanks and 20-gallon tanks, and sometimes they may get lucky enough that they would come in with a 40-gallon tank or a 55 long, but generally speaking, it's a small tank that they've been kept in all their life. I mean, this size tank works for a hatchling. Absolutely, this is a great tank, filled all the way up to here, works great for a couple of hatchlings. But once they're to about a 50-cent piece, it's time to move them on up to something much, much bigger with more room to move and more room to grow. But anyways, this is Chad. This is absolute how not to keep turtles. All right? And what is absolutely unacceptable when it comes to keeping aquatic turtles. We are the Reptile Rangers. We are the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center. We appreciate you following along and just writing us in and letting us know things you want us to film about. We appreciate you following along week after week with all the things that we do here at the zoo. And we'll either see you here at the zoo or we'll see you on the next episode. Later.